Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool, from her she shed in her beautiful backyard. This is the Michelle Moore Show.
I dwell in the shadow of the Most High. Under His wings I'm safe tonight. Trouble may rise, the storm may roll, but His truth's a shield, it covers my soul. Oh, Lord, You are my refuge.
Yes, He's my refuge.
My fortress and my song.
He keeps me strong.
Through the fire, through the valley,
He carries me on.
You're the strength I lean upon. 10,000 falling at my side, still Your hand will be my guide. Angels watch me day and night. Hold me steady till morning light. Oh Lord, You are my refuge.
Yes, He's my refuge.
My fortress and my song.
He keeps me strong.
Through the fire, through the valley, You're the strength I lean upon. I will not fear the arrow that flies by day, nor the terror that walks in the night. For the Lord is with me. He is my salvation, my everlasting light. Oh Lord, You are my refuge.
Yes, He's my refuge.
My fortress and my song.
He keeps me strong.
Through the fire, through the valley, You're the strength I lean upon. Leaning on You, Lord. Leaning on You.
Who doesn't love that song? I love it. Oh my goodness. I had a viewer send that to me, and a lot of the songs that we get, a lot of times that we use for the opening videos, it's you, the viewers, that will send me different links to songs, and even one that we used a couple weeks ago, Jenica from North Carolina, that we've been working with, for the last year because of Hurricane Helene. She sent me one. I think I mentioned it, that, that particular song had been from her. But anyways, she said when she heard it, she thought of me. And so that was so good. But I'm so glad that you're with us today. Dr. Shawn with Jase is here. What an amazing, just, there are some people, I got the best email the other day. Someone said, I really love what you're doing with Godly Granny, because not only are you bringing attention to things that are going on in the world, really, not just in the country, but that you're actually getting up and you're doing something about it. And you're bringing us, healthier options. And it's like, yes. And that's what he's doing. Dr. Shawn is doing with Jase. And I have quite the testimonial for you, just fresh off the press. And so I can't wait to tell you what happened. It didn't look like I thought it was going to look like. So I'll explain. I do want to let you know this show, if you're watching on YouTube live, I just want you to know the show's going to be deleted as soon as it's over. We'll let it live stream. But as soon as it's over, we're deleting it, because I already know it ain't gonna make it. And so we're trying to stay out of trouble. Also, when it comes to shows, so let's talk about this, y'all. I told you that I had gone to a health-based dentist, and I've had my family going, and we've been doing work like backwards, trying to fix everything that we've done through Cabal Dental Care and all of that. Well, my husband and I are having surgeries tomorrow, and so mine's much less than him. But anyways, so we're not going to be, of course, doing a show tomorrow live with me. We'll be doing a documentary. Tomorrow's documentary is called What is a Conspiracy Theorist? I don't know. Maybe you should look in the mirror. If you're watching my show, you probably should look in the mirror. But anyways, and then I will not be here Thursday because I'm concerned about the dental surgery. And so I just want to make sure that I'm going to be all good by Friday. So Friday, we've got Steve Jarvis. Now, Steve Jarvis has got some stuff he's working on for you. But in addition to that, Steve and I were on the phone this morning, and Steve told me some things that are coming down the pipeline that are shockingly good. Now, this is not like, this is like some stuff that is going to impact everybody. And so we're going to see. And then he also has some predictions and he's very interesting to speak with, to say the very least. And then also very entertaining. Like he just killed a deer he literally killed the deer, shooting it he saw it through the kitchen window, opened the window and shot the deer. So anyways, and sends me a video of him with the deer. It was just so funny. He's crazy. So anyways, but he's going to be here. He is still working with Maha and some different things. So incredible work that he's doing. Super smart guy. But he's going to be here to explain. He's making a list and got something specific he's going to go over with you. But then he's also going to share this big news that was supposed to happen in November, got pushed to December. We'll see. But I asked him, I said, is this something that we can release and talk about? And he said, yes. So I'm going to leave him to explain it. Y'all are going to want to hear it. So we'll get into the details of that. I also want to let you know tonight is the final night for the Godly Granny Aganza sale. We've been doing 21% off for Godly Granny's first birthday. I do want to encourage you to do the out of stock, like notify me for any items that are saying that they're out of stock. And so I want to encourage you to put in to be notified for that. Over the next week, especially, there may be some special pricing on items that have been out of stock during this time. So I've had a few like magnesium products. We had a Fur Baby bar soap that was out. We've had a number of things. And so as they come in, we're going to be doing them at a 5% discount for like 24 hours, just to kind of give everybody an option to get that extra discount. And then plus whatever coupon code you have, if you have a coupon code, you'll be able to get pretty close to 21% if you got a coupon code too. So wanted to give you a heads up on that. We did add 2 new products to the website. So, we've got the new gift and travel bags that are amazing. Well, we now have one that's just Rustic Man, and it's the shampoo, conditioner for the thickening and volumizing. And then it's the Skin Silk Demerara Sugar Scrub. And then, of course, the Skin Silk Face and Body Butter with the activated charcoal Rustic Man bar soap. So with the cocoa, mango, and shea butters. So I want to let you know about that because that's 21% off. And then look at this. It's the first coffee bar soap that we've had. It goes with the energizing Canaan coffee line. So, we have the scrub, which was one of our very first items. Amazing. Helps with cellulite, all kinds of stuff. Okay, then we have the balm. And by the way, my son has been using it. It's the product that helps with under eye circles. My son has had under eye circles for a few years now, and he has faithfully used it. Oh gosh, for about 2 weeks now. And a day before yesterday, or I think it was day before yesterday, I went, Dylan, I said, your eyes look amazing. He is really doing a great job with applying the balm. So it's the coffee balm that goes, it's the Canaan coffee energizing line. So now there's 3 products. There's the scrub, the balm, and now the bar soap that you see here. But anyways, but the balm is what is specifically to help with this. And so I know many of you email me asking about under eye circles and all that kind of stuff. And that's the product we have. And I'm telling you, I'm seeing it working with my son. It's amazing. So I wanted to give you a heads up on that. Okay. So I wanted to say though, for the out of stock items, we'll do like a 5% discount for like 24 hours. That's why you want to be notified. So when that product comes back in, and then you'll be able to also use a coupon code if you have one at that time. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And then, of course, these 2 products are already on the website for you to be able to get if you want either of them. I think the Rustic Man gift and travel set is perfect for men. This is a great little gift. So anyways, that's why we did it, because I wanted something for, women to get for men. And that would be great for, whether it's Father's Day, Valentine's Day is coming up, the holidays, if you're buying Christmas gifts for a man, whatever it might be. So wanted to give you a heads up on that. All right. Well, let's go on ahead and bring Dr. Shawn in. I wanted to tell you a testimony. Okay, Dr. Shawn, I just got to tell you, you're my hero.
Okay.
Okay. So let me tell you what happened. So I got the Jase case. I thought, okay, this is going to be good because somebody in the house is going to get sick. And when you're sick, the last thing you want to do is get in the car and go to the doctor. Okay. So this didn't turn out like I thought it was going to turn out. So that's when I was all about it. Thought, okay, I'm going to have a Z pack in there. It's going to be great. That in itself will be worth what I paid for the pack, the Jase case. Okay. And of course, for those of you that may or may not know, when Dr. Shawn was here last time, we went through the Jase case. It's got 10 different medications in here. And so that's what I really bought it for. Okay. I thought somebody's going to get sick. We're going to need a Z pack. This will be perfect. Well, that's not what happened. I got sick about 10 days ago. I got very sick, actually. And I got dehydrated. And I started, I could tell I'm on the verge of a urinary tract infection, but it just never really would get there. And then last night or this morning at midnight, I had gone to sleep early, like 8 o'clock. And so I wake up thinking it's like 4 or 5 in the morning. It's only 12 o'clock. And so, but I am having a full blown urinary tract infection issue, and it's getting worse. And I am starting to have pain. And so I get the old Jase.com up and my Jase case. And I got to tell you, it worked. I got up at 6 o'clock this morning, and I hate to say it like this, but I peed more than I've peed in a week. And so I am healed with 1 round of the medication, 1 pill. I just have to tell you that I was on the verge of an emergency room visit. And it would have happened as an emergency room visit if it was not for the Jase case. I can't even begin to believe the timing with you being on the show. And this just happened to me early this morning. I can't. So yeah, you're my hero. It didn't look like the Jase case, saved the day. It differently than I anticipated.
Yeah.
But I just have to tell you, this is exactly why I have at least one of these in the house. And producer Ron was telling me he used one of his medications as well with a child that was sick, a grown child, but his son. So I just want to say thank you, because this really is a big helper.
Thank you for telling that personal story and really being able to speak to one of the things that you said. What you said was perfect as far as this was not how you thought you would end up using it, because even going back to why Jase is around was really meant as as kind of the ultimate hedge against being powerless in this world of insurance companies, hard to get to your doctor, medications that are made in China, like all these things that come between us and the care we're trying to receive. And specifically talking about supply chain, which we're at such a risk of ongoing shortages in medications, and whether it's that supply chain or whether it's a natural disaster, whatever gets in between you and that care. And that was really the impetus behind everything. But come to find out, as we've been now doing this for a number of years, certainly have there been cases of people who are caught in a hurricane, in horrible blizzards that shut the roads down for days at a time, or traveling and in a foreign place where they're unfamiliar with the health system. Those are absolutely use cases that we've seen. But what we see time and again are exactly what you described. It's midnight. It's 1 a.m. You've had a UTI before. You know what it feels like. You know the medication you took the last time, and the pharmacy's closed, or you can't get through. Maybe you got through on telemedicine to get a doctor to tell you, yeah, I recommend you take an antibiotic for your UTI, but you got to get that medication. And so it's just that quick access. It's convenient. It's fast. It's right there already in your medicine cabinet. Those are the ones that, turns out, by and large, people are using it more so in that way than just as this, it's packed away in my emergency prep kit. So your experience is in line with many others.
That's a good point. So I couldn't believe it. I've only had one urinary tract infection, and it was caused by the same thing. It was my son had a very bad accident, wasn't really eating or drinking. He was in the hospital. I was living on about a half a bottle of water for every day for about 5 days. Woke up on about that 5th day and was in severe pain. And so it was a urinary tract infection. I want to say, so what happened is I was just getting worse as last night went on, or early this morning. And so I ended up taking a Godly Granny pain blend bath bomb. And then I after taking the pill, and I think, okay, I'm going to get in the bath. The heat might help. I got out, and this was, before I was already on a heating pad. I'd been trying all kinds of things, and I was starting to get worse and worse. And so by the time I get the pill and I end up getting in the bathtub, by the time I get out of the bathtub, I sit in the bathtub about 15 minutes, and I was complete. And those bath bombs are amazing. So between that pill and the bath bomb, I was able to lay down pain-free, and went right to sleep and slept great. But
that's the thing about bacterial infections. The sooner you can get the right treatment, the whole thing goes better. You're going to get rid of it faster. It's not going to be as severe. And it's just one more reason to have things on hand. I actually just had one just over the weekend too. Same thing. I had a friend call up. Their child was sick, and this is something that happens a few times every year. She just gets these colds, but when she gets colds, she starts throwing up a lot, and that leads to complications. You get dehydrated. To your point, you start having kidney issues or others. That dehydration can cause a lot worse outcomes. So they're used to taking the Zofran, right? This is to help her with her nausea and vomiting. And hey, could you help us call in a prescription for some Zofran? Not everyone has a doctor that they can just call for a quick consult like that. When you know what's wrong, you've treated it before, and of course I helped her, but the reminder is, hey, that's in our kid's case. You should have one of those on hand so that you've got what you need. You don't even need to worry about calling your doctor friend. So again, though, it's to illustrate, it's that in the moment, convenient. Your kids rarely get sick at a convenient time. It's usually 2 or 3 in the morning that they're throwing up. So why not have the tools at hand already?
Well, I have to tell you, I didn't know that. And that makes sense though, because I thought, wow, I feel amazing. This morning, I feel better than I have in 10 days. I just was on that line. I just kept feeling it, and kept feeling like I needed to go to the bathroom, and I would go and I just couldn't go. And I thought, oh boy, but I wasn't in pain, and I could, go a little, but it was like,
you could put it off, and ultimately you do get that appointment, and maybe it's a couple of days later, and by then it's a florid infection, and you're having fevers and chills, and then you finally go get the medication, and and thankfully it works and it treats you, but you've gone through a week of hell. So
Well, and that was the thing is I wasn't hurting and I wasn't quite there. So I
not
kept
yet.
thinking
Right.
I'll just drink enough water. I'll
Right.
get rehydrated and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I never could drink enough water, it seemed like, or get hydrated enough. And then it just kind of came to a head. But what I was surprised about is I really thought, this is probably going to take a couple of doses. I'm probably going to have to, in the morning, later in the morning, take another dose after getting close to 12 hours from now. So when I woke up and felt like a brand new woman, I was like, okay, that's shocking that one pill, but I got it early. Like what you're saying, once it decided to trigger, I got it right away. So I didn't know that. So that makes sense because I wondered, how do I feel perfectly fine after just one dose?
You're right. But we should also say you got on it early, quick. We've shown that there's been a lot of research lately. Back in the day, we used to treat these infections for 7 days, and then it was 5 days. Now they're saying 3, maybe even 2 days. So, in your case, you jump on it early. My recommendation would be to continue for 2 days and call it quits.
Okay.
What you don't want is to start it, not kill it, let it come back. Now it's going to get resistant to the medications you're taking. And so finish that off for a real short course and you should be good to go.
All right. So I see KM Sunshine's already on to what I was wondering at 1:00 this morning. I'm pulling out, a pill out of the thing and I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot of pills in here, but wait a minute. What if I start, taking something and then, or like the Z-Pack, can I refill one of the medications, or what does that look like? So can you explain that process?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. If you've gone with the Jase case, which is a real comprehensive coverage of all kinds of different issues you might have, UTIs, sinusitis, pneumonia, skin infections. I mean, the list goes on and on. If that's the case, if that's where you're coming from, sometimes you are hesitant to break in and use those medications if it's not that end of the world kind of emergency. But absolutely, we have a process in place to refill just the meds that you need. Now, one thing, and I'll just to give people this heads up, because we get a little pushback sometimes where I'm just coming back for one med. How come it's so expensive? You're still having to have that prescribed by a doctor. It still takes a new doctor to review your history, make sure everything's safe and appropriate. Even you may have just bought the case. It's a different doctor. So we have to pay those doctors to have these visits. So you pay for that fee and then just a nominal fee for the medication itself. And for the fulfillment from the pharmacy. But yes, that's absolutely available. You go through the same, you can see on the site, it's at the top of our menu, it says reorder/refill. That's how you start that process. If maybe you've bought a Jase case, but you know what, I probably get UTIs maybe 2, maybe 3 times a year, or maybe it always happens to me at least once a year. Get a Jase case and then go get one of our use cases. We have a couple of actual kind of the more common conditions where we've put together specific kits for just one condition and UTI is one of them. So we have this use case UTI. It's got just what you need to treat that UTI infection the one time. It's cheaper. You don't have to have a Jase case to buy it. You can buy it on its own. And so it allows you to kind of augment what you've already got, or if that's all you're interested in, you can start there.
Okay, so let's go on ahead and I want to make sure I cover a couple of bases here. So the first thing is, if you are needing ivermectin, not only does Jase have that, but I have some ivermectin instructions. So if you want to email me, michelle@nashvillemichelle.com, I will send you the instructions on how to get $10 off also when you order. But the instructions are really what is important because we're going to tell you today how to get $10 off. So you all had a Cyber Monday deal. I'm hearing, and that it got pushed over, also extended through today. And so it ends tonight. Now they're on Mountain Standard Time, you guys. So it's 11:59 p.m. tonight, Mountain Standard Time. And so they're doing $50 off of ivermectin in the drop-down menu on the homepage, not $50 on the $30 add-on. So when you're getting like the Jase case, you can get the ivermectin add-on. Remember that, where it's 30 pills, it's a 30-day thing. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that that's the only thing. So it's just when you go to the homepage, jase.com, you'll see the ivermectin button at the top with all the other stuff. And that's where you'll get $50 off. If you, when checking out, use Michelle 10, Michelle has 2 L's, no spaces, just Michelle and then 10. You'll be able to get another $10 off as well as always. And so, but they're also doing this Cyber Monday sale that they extended. So that's pretty incredible. And they have expanded their ivermectin offering. So Shawn, Dr. Shawn, can you tell us about what all you are now offering when it comes to ivermectin?
Absolutely. I mean, and let me just, this does just to touch back on, you know, how we got to here, talking about supply chain. That was certainly an issue right in the middle of the pandemic, and realizing the risks that we were at.
Well, Shawn, we had problem with toilet paper.
Right. Well, right. That's where all of a sudden our eyes were open to this vulnerability. And even today, people are surprised to find out that, you know, our medications here in the United States, by and large, nearly 100% of them are not made here in the United States, with most of them in Asia, in China, in India. So that's a whole nother discussion of problems. On top of this, what we also found out during COVID was this interjection of I guess, interested people, whether it was the government, whether it was regulatory agencies, whether it was whoever, the FDA, inserting themselves between the doctor and the patient, and telling a doctor during COVID that you couldn't prescribe ivermectin, you couldn't prescribe hydroxychloroquine. And before this, it was that never would have been done if a doctor was able, you know, through that decision-making process, through their expertise and working with their patients, it was between the doctor and the patient. And that really changed things. It made a lot of doctors scared. I mean, their licenses were put at risk. They were told that, you know, if they were accused of disinformation, that they might lose their license. Talking about the COVID vaccine or talking about ivermectin. So fast forward to today, some of that's calmed down, not completely though. We're seeing reports now with ivermectin being used in all kinds of new ways, and they're trying to study this in more, I guess, in more controlled ways to be able to show, like, okay, how effective is ivermectin in treating COVID, in treating cancers, and all these other quote unquote off-label uses. And so we're there wanting to, the goal of Jase the mission of Jase is to empower people to be better prepared medically, so that they can take the into their own hands their health, right? Ivermectin is one of those tools. And so what we've got, we originally started with just regular, you know, it comes in 3 milligram tablets. It's what's used to treat river blindness. It's been around for decades and decades. It's one of the safest medications around, won a Nobel Prize. And that was what we started with. We then started compounding it in higher doses that can be used to treat other things, whether outside of just parasites. Then we got into, we do have the parasite cleanse, which is that combo of ivermectin and mebendazole. Unfortunately, even though you said we're going to take this down on YouTube, even it spreads beyond YouTube. But if you know, with what I'm talking about here, yeah. I'm telling you, we have it as a parasite cleanse. It's ivermectin and mebendazole. There may be other uses, and if you know what those are, you know what those are. Everything we do, we encourage you to do it through a professional, competent healthcare provider, to follow their protocols if you're using this off-label. But we do offer that combo of ivermectin and mebendazole. We've then recently added topical ivermectin, so creams and ointments, which are also being shown to be effective in things outside of, typically it's used for rosacea. That's one of the FDA-approved uses for topical ivermectin. There are a host of off-label uses that people are finding it effective in, just for its general anti-inflammatory, anti-viral, anti-protozoal properties. And so there's all kinds of other uses there. And so we've also made those topical creams and ointments available.
Okay. I've had people that have said that they had moles and different kinds of, skin, what's, and the C word, and they've sworn up and down, showed me before and after photos even of where those moles with using topical ivermectin has gone away and they were cured. And so it's very interesting. Yeah.
It's a relatively, everything I do as a physician, and I would say hopefully all physicians are balancing, what are the risks and benefits, and any treatment usually comes with its risks as well. And so that's why a lot of times we say, hey, time is the best treatment. Just let this play its course, because maybe the risk of the medication is too high. In the case of ivermectin, it's well tolerated, it's safe, it's been proven, it's been out and about for a long time. And so trying for some of these other, using it in some of these other ways, as I'm okay with. And that's why we're trying to provide this to as many people as we can.
Am I remembering your story correctly? Didn't you say that when the slowing of the spread happened, that you were working in an emergency room situation?
Yeah, I was actually working in a hospital in the inpatient, internal medicine, primary medicine, in the inpatient service of the hospital. So we would take patients from the emergency room who were admitted, treat them and discharge them once they were better.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
during that period is really where we were experiencing. This was pre-COVID, actually. This was before Stop the Spread. This was, which is why it was so attention grabbing to me, because this was when you did have toilet paper and you did have everything you needed, because you lived in the United States of America. There was no such thing as shortages. And we were being told about shortages in vital antibiotics, the IV antibiotics that we use daily to save lives for really sick people. And they were in short supply. And this was like, how could this be? And that was the very beginning of what's going on here. Oh, they're all made in China in a couple of factories, maybe for the whole world. Well, that's concerning. And that led to ultimately what is now Jase.com, where the supply chain's an issue. You also find out that these are generic medications for the most part. They're very affordable. Everything's behind this broken system with PBMs and insurance companies and it's a very opaque. The pricing is, nobody knows how much something really costs. And come to find out, they're actually very affordable. So why can't we provide these for people to have on hand in case they need them, as long as they've got the guidance on when and how to use them and they have resources to do it appropriately? Let's get them the access that they need.
Well, isn't it albuterol? I know this is kind of getting a little bit on a whole nother bunny trail, but isn't it albuterol where it used to be super inexpensive and now it's like through the roof?
Albuterol is not too bad. Epinephrine is one of those.
Okay.
Epinephrine is a very cheap medication. Talk to anyone who has allergies, anaphylaxis, and they'll tell you that their epinephrine is not cheap.
No.
And
that isn't that the medication where it has to do with the couple that, I have to go back and look, but there was a couple that was suspiciously, murdered in their home. And then all of a sudden that medication went through the roof, but I don't know if they owned like a patent or they created it. I don't remember all the specifics, but my son needed it. And I was thinking it was albuterol, but it was, but it went through the roof right after. And so there's things that are related that you would never know are related. And so is a perfect example. But I want to go back to what we were saying about, this gives people a chance to use things and have choices and some control. I just think back to, President Trump, right before the whole slowing of the spread, he had passed about the right to try. I'm sure you're familiar with that. Okay. And so what's happened is they don't care what the laws are. We know that there are many people that, and entities that don't care about that. And so just like a lot of people didn't care about your religious rights either when you didn't want the shot, but they were, shoving it down people's throats. And so anyways, but this is what we're talking about in a lot of ways, is that that's why I say email me so I can send you the instructions to be able to get ivermectin and mebendazole. But so that way, you can be prepared to do and take care of this in a way with Jase that needs to be done. But this is about the right to try too. And so they're trying to control things that I believe they know work. And so, and not give you the right to try. And so that's what we're trying to help you with is giving you what you want. If you want it, like you said, if you know.
That right to try, it's and again coupled with, is this hurting that person? If you're someone who was recently diagnosed with cancer and you're talking to your cancer doctor, you're doing all the things that there are to try. Why not have the right to try other options?
Right.
I personally wouldn't suggest that you try this in place of those other options. I would say do this as an adjunctive in addition to, or as it fits into this treatment plan. But you certainly should have the right to try it, and that's maybe we'll get to the day when it's not an if you know situation. It is what it is today.
Yeah.
But at least we can empower people to have the tools they need.
That's so good. Okay, so let's move on. I want to talk about a number of things with you today. So I wanted to make sure people knew about the Cyber Monday, the ivermectin products, and I knew that you all had added some new products. You get $50 off through 11:59 tonight, Mountain Standard Time, on any of your ivermectin products that are in the drop-down menu from the homepage. There are some add-ons. So when you get the Jase case, I'm assuming also some of these other cases, you have some add-on products. And I wanted to talk about that. I'm not as familiar with those. So I myself was interested to hear about these add-ons. So can you kind of give us a rundown about that as well?
Yeah. And at that sale that you mentioned with the ivermectin is one of our most aggressive of the year. And there's also a $25 off site-wide just in general. As part of that Cyber Monday,
and then $25 plus when they use Michelle 10, so it'd give them 35 off.
Right. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you don't need a coupon code for that other one.
Okay.
As far as add-ons, so yeah, our Jase case, we've expanded it. It's 10 medications. It used to just be really antibiotics. It now includes as standard a potent steroid. Methylprednisolone is the name of it. Medrol, people might know it by. We also include standard the Zofran, the ondansetron, which is that for vomiting and nausea. We also include a prescription steroid cream. It's triamcinolone, kind of like hydrocortisone, but a little stronger. And then we also include an antidiarrheal. Those are the ones that and an anti-inflammatory that's over and above the antibiotic. So that's your base Jase case.
Okay, now we covered this in great detail the last time Dr. Shawn was on. So I want to make sure everybody knows that if you want to go and listen to that show's link is in today's show's show description on the Michelle Moore Show Rumble channel. So if you're watching on Rumble, you'll be able to see it in the show description. He's been on twice, and we put both show links in today's show description for you. So that way, hopefully it helps you to find it easier. But the last time he was on, we went in through literally each one individually and talked about it in great detail. It's a phenomenal show to understand what each medication does and what the thought process is there behind it. Highly recommend it if you are getting the Jase case, and just so you can understand what all you've got exactly in that case. It's amazing. Okay, so Dr. Shawn.
Okay, so the add-ons, really they're done alphabetically. When you buy the case, it'll ask you if you want add-ons, and you'll see this list. You mentioned albuterol. Albuterol's on that list. And you're right, and you're making me remember some. There was at least a 2 to 3 times increase in albuterol. Our albuterol inhalers is to add on to your Jase case is $60. And I'll tell you, as of a few years ago, that probably would have been closer to 20 or 30. But that's the market right now. And just so that everyone else understands the transparency here is we only work with, we have our pharmacy, we have a couple of exclusive pharmacy partners that we have pre-negotiated all of this pricing. We do our best to it's kind of a cost plus. We just add on a fee to the base price that we're getting these wholesale rates to try and pass them on to the customers. So as far as the list goes, you've got so much on here. It would take so long to go through, but we've got things like the albuterol, things like other anti-inflammatories, eye drops, antibiotic eye drops for things like pink eye, the epinephrine auto injectors, like we mentioned before. There's ivermectin as add-ons, all that we already talked about. There's Tamiflu for if you oseltamivir is the name of it. Things like scopolamine patches for motion sickness, burn creams, silver sulfadiazine, valacyclovir, which is for things like cold sores, herpes infections. The list is long. You can see it on there. You can kind of pick and choose what you want. These are the only way this works for us to offer these prices is if we do it as an add-on, meaning you've already paid for that physician visit, you're getting the Jase case, and you're just adding on some of these medications. Otherwise, we couldn't afford to do it. We do have some others on there that are, we've got the Paxlovid. I'm just looking at this right now. It's not cheap. If you're into the Paxlovid, it's $2,000, but that's an available add-on. And then we have some over the counter add-ons, your ibuprofen, Tylenol, Benadryl that are also available, and those can all just be included as and will fit in the case that you order.
Okay. All right. That helps. I know you have some use cases, and I want to talk about that too. So you have the Jase case, but then are some other cases that you have available we've never talked about. In fact, a lot of these are new. So let's talk a little bit about that as well. So if you go to the homepage, jase.com, and you click on products, then you're going to see a number of things, but it's going to say use, and then it's
Yep.
going to tell you what it is. So the first one is allergies. Tell us about the use case for allergies.
So use case allergies. Again, these are in the use case. You'll see them listed there. They're in alphabetical order. The idea here is we did have it for some people. It's $300 ish for that Jase case. It's a little cheaper than that, but hovers around $260 to $300. Might be a little bit of a high bar to meet to get some medication, and so we wanted to offer something that could be more accessible. So there's a cheaper price point, still really meets a need. And so these are some of the most common things you might encounter, whether you're typically when you're traveling, and it's just for that indication. So in allergies, if you're someone who suffers from environmental allergies, and whether it's that time of year or whether you're traveling to a place where that's going to be an issue, it's $100. All of these use cases are $100. And in there, you're going to get fluticasone, which is that steroid nose spray. You're going to get Zyrtec, and you're going to get Montelukast, which is another strong antihistamine medication that you can take for if you've got wheezing, difficulty breathing, chest tightness, coughing, anything caused by these environmental allergens. People who have asthma will know Montelukast.
Okay, so question about this though, is with all of the chemtrailing that's been going on, one of the things we talk about here, especially with our Godly Granny formulator, we've been talking all year about how we're seeing, in fact, I've even experienced this where I always only had allergies in the spring my entire life if I had them. Now, this year, I had them this fall. She's saying there's no such thing as seasonal allergies anymore. It's all the time that people are having them all different kinds of times. And so our allergy, cold, and sinus products are going, crazy. I have spoken to people, though. I have 2 viewers specifically that when in their areas, they have reported to me, 2 different men that do not know each other, have reported to me that when the chemtrails happen, they struggle to breathe. And so when I see this and hear you talking about this, I'm thinking it's that next level, like they're literally struggling to breathe. So this sounds like, to me, this is something for people like that, especially.
Most people who have allergies where they're actually needing to take some kind of medication, they've been there, they've done that. They've had to go in and get the appointment. They know they do this every year. To your point, it's now happening more than once a year. Kind of like the people who've had a UTI before. They know what they're after. It's just such a pain sometimes to get access to some of these medications, especially these prescription medications, the Montelukast, the albuterol. So that's the use case, allergies.
Okay, the next one is cruise.
Next one's cruise. This doesn't necessarily mean it's limited to cruisers, but what's in here is anything you might need in that kind of a situation where you might get motion sickness on an airplane, on a boat, wherever that is. And this is really geared towards the kinds of things you might encounter on a cruise or other travels. So it's got the Z-Pack, which is great for traveler's diarrhea. It's got the scopolamine patch, which is your motion sickness. It's got ondansetron, which is another, that we said before, that's the Zofran. It's anti-nausea and vomiting. And then the loperamide, which is an anti-diarrheal. So the most common things you might, the gastrointestinal kinds of things, the nausea, vertigo, motion sickness, cruise kit has you covered. We should also mention all these kits come not just with the medications, it comes with a little pamphlet explaining why you might consider these medications. And then each one has its own medication chart to explain what it is, what the symptoms are that you might be experiencing when it's needed, how to take it. So you've got that resource as well. That's the cruise kit.
You've got great handouts with your cases. Okay, the next one is dental. So
dental, this is classic. In fact, one of our early best testimonials is from one of the owners of the company. who over COVID got a tooth infection. All the offices were closed down, wasn't able to get in anywhere. Now this was just prior to Jase being a thing, but we're good friends. So I was able to get him the really early access to Augmentin. It's the amoxicillin clavulanate, which he started taking. And ultimately, when he finally, over the weekend, he took it, got into the doctor on the Monday, and was told that he very, very well, he was really sick. Those infections, they're close to your head, they're close to your brain.
Yes.
An untreated dental infection can end up getting up into your brain and can kill you. And so he was told that he was very fortunate to have started treatment early enough, and since have had a number of other people with similar testimonials. So the use case dental, it's got just what you need for those situations. It's that amoxicillin clavulanate, otherwise known as Augmentin. So that's the antibacterial, it's the antibiotic. It's got the celecoxib for the pain and inflammation, and then benzocaine, which is a topical numbing, basically to numb the area as well, all for pain control. So that's your dental kit. Another one, $99.95.
All right. The next one is use gout.
Gout. Another one, if you've ever had gout before, and in fact, I do believe, I'm not speaking out of place here, but the physicians won't prescribe this use case unless you can tell them that you've had gout before. So they want to know that you're familiar with the symptoms, that you know this is gout, not something else. But the people who get it, it's one of those things where if you wait, we mentioned your UTI, the sooner you can start treatment, the better off you are. Man, times that by 10 for gout. The second you feel that tingle, it's coming. And if you can get treatment at that time, the whole thing goes away within hours and you're fine, versus a week of debilitating pain, hardly able to walk. So that's the intent of, if ever there was a medication that you should have on hand before you need it, it's medication for gout. So in the gout kit, it's just two things. It's colchicine and prednisone. One is a steroid. The other is an old medication that's been around for a long time. It's a very strong anti-inflammatory. Between these two things, you can knock out just about any case of gout before it becomes an issue.
All right. The next one is use insomnia.
Insomnia. This one is not meant for people who are chronic insomniacs who just, maybe they take Ambien every night. That's not what this is. This is, you maybe change time zones or you're stressed with something going on. And this is just episodic. It's periodic insomnia. So what we have in here is both an over-the-counter and a prescription kind of combination. Hydroxyzine is the prescription medication, and it does a great job of calming you down, helping you fall asleep. And then you've got melatonin, which is a great over-the-counter, very effective for most people. The combo of the two, this is going to treat most everyone who's got that episodic insomnia. Comes with a little sleep mask, some earplugs. It's one of those things you should grab if you're taking a flight and you're going to be changing time zones. Grab this insomnia kit. I use it, I don't know, half a dozen times a year when I'm traveling. So.
Okay. I also recommend our magnesium night blend.
Magnesium, another great one. You can supplement it with herbal treatments and supplements as well. Magnesium's perfect.
Yes. Use UTI. Boy, I would say I could have used that last night, but I had the Jase case. So
we talked about this one. Now this one has a couple of things that Jase case doesn't. It's a different antibiotic. That's fine as long as you've got an antibiotic. This one, it's called Macrobid. People may have been familiar with that because it's commonly prescribed. It's really the only use you would ever use this antibiotic for would be to treat a UTI. But then it's also got Pyridium. This is because UTIs hurt, they burn, they sting. Pyridium it takes that sting away so that it's not so painful when you do need to go to the bathroom. And then lastly, fluconazole, which is not necessarily for a UTI per se, but the fluconazole is something that you'd use more for yeast infections that may eventually turn into a UTI. But between those three things, you're pretty well covered for anything urinary tract related.
That's amazing. Okay, I'm glad that you went through that with us. By the way, Dr. Shawn, I was in so much pain, I started throwing up this morning. Yeah.
So there you go. That's another. I mean, those are the complications that you don't always, even as a physician. Well, I'm going to get you treated for this. Hopefully, I've thought ahead to also include some Zofran because you're throwing up, and and that dehydration then leads to further complications with your kidneys, and then it's a chain reaction. So get the Zofran, have it on hand, have it before. One of those things, again, the earlier you get on it, the better the result's going to be.
Well, for me, I literally was running my bath water when I started throwing up. So I quit throwing up, got in the bathtub with the Pain Blend bath bomb. And like I said, by the time the medication had time to start taking effect,
Yeah,
that Pain Blend bath bomb, I got out, I felt like a new woman.
that's great.
And so I literally within 15 minutes went from throwing up to going to bed and went right to sleep like
You
a
were going to
baby.
have to cancel the show today.
Yeah, I was going to be at the emergency room. I'm not kidding. That's why I said you were my hero. I wasn't
Love
kidding.
it.
And by the way, I'll pay the price of the Jase case all day long, because the emergency room visit, we have health care. It's just that it's like catastrophe care is what I call it. And so it would have cost me $1,000 out of pocket to go to
Yep.
the ER and in the middle of the night, and hours more for pain before they finally get you anything.
And they'd send you home with maybe one dose, so that you could then go to the pharmacy while you're still sick, and or have someone go for you. And
Yes. Yeah. And I was already throwing up. So see, I'd have been throwing up on the way to the hospital. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's a shocker. It didn't pan out like I thought. I'm sure it'll happen at one point, hopefully years from now, but also, the way I thought with somebody getting sick in the home. I do want to cover something that was interesting that you covered on the show last time. And that is, somebody's bought the Jase case. It's been 6 months. And so how long do the medications last? How do they know? Many of us think, oh, it's just going to be like, 12 months or 18 months. But you actually shared that, they can last for like a decade.
right. I mean, the Jase case, while it's much, much cheaper than going to your neighborhood pharmacy and urgent care and emergency department, it's still has some cost to it. And you want to know that if I've bought this product, I don't have to buy it every year. Now, turns out, to your experience, there's a high likelihood that you're going to use some, if not a few things in your Jase case over the course of the year, and you'll want to replenish it. But the good news is that everything in there, especially when we're talking about capsules, pills, tablets, are, as long as they're kept out of, they're stored in a cool, dry place. So kept out of high humidity, kept out of high heat, then the studies that are out there, I have to say this with a huge warning, is that this is all being generally applied. Your situation where you store them does change things. The specific who made the medication could potentially change things. The general studies, though, have shown that when stored properly, these types of medications, minimum of 5 years, most of them 10 plus years, retain greater than 90% of their efficacy. So that's the good news. And that's back to storing them properly. But yeah, they'll last for a while.
That's amazing. Okay, so Skater 9 is asking, what is the best way to treat SIBO, S-I-B-O? Is that SIBO?
SIBO?
Mm-hmm.
Are they talking about? I'd have to see. I need more information. SIBO. Hold on. Let me. They're okay. If they're talking about bacterial overgrowth, I believe that's what they're talking about. This is the basically small intestine bacterial overgrowth. I don't have a lot of experience treating SIBO specifically, so I'm gonna
pass on that one.
Pass on that one. I'd be happy to dig into it and give more specific instruction, but that specifically is something that I've not directly addressed a lot of.
That might be more of a question, Skater 9, for Dr. Margaret, and she is going to be back. We booked her for next Tuesday, so just heads up on that, Skater 9. You may want to revisit next week for Dr. Margaret on that. That's probably more up her alley. Okay, so Dr. Shawn, thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate you going through this. And like I said, you were my hero. You didn't even know it until you got on the show today.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too.
Surprise. Made my day. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, so don't forget, he said there's a 25. Let's see, producer Ron, you had that image too. It's like a $25 site-wide incentive. And then don't forget on the ivermectin and the drop down menu off the homepage. Look, I saw it this morning on my own. And actually, I didn't buy I'll just tell you what I'm going to do. Now, knowing about the $25 off site-wide, I'm planning, and then 20% off of gift cards. That's awesome. And then you see at the bottom where it says $50 off ivermectin. Don't forget Michelle 10, you get $10 more. So that's amazing. But they take care, such great care of our viewers. It's amazing. But what I was going to say is I'm planning on buying one in my husband's name, and I'm going to go through and add some add-ons. And then while the sale is going on, that's what I'm doing. I never bought one in his name. So I'm going to buy one in his name before the sale's over tonight and get that done because, and then I never really looked at the add-ons. So I'm going to be doing that. Plus I'm sure I'll throw in some ivermectin. But like he said, this is the most aggressive time of the year the sale of the year that they've done. And so this is a great time to get a good deal on these kinds of things. Look, hands down, I saved a ton of money and trouble for everything that was going on with me last night. Okay, so I sent producer Ron a few things that I ended up seeing right before we went live that I wanted to share with you. And so a couple of videos. Let's take a look at what President Trump is talking about when it comes to 2026 refunds. Let's listen to what he's saying here.
Next year is projected to be the largest tax refund season ever. And we're going to be giving back refunds out of the tariffs because we've taken in literally trillions of dollars. And we're going to be giving a nice dividend to the people. In addition to reducing debt, as you know, I inherited a lot of debt, but it's peanuts compared to the kind of numbers we're talking about. So we're going to be making a dividend to the people. And additionally, we're going to be able to reduce debt. And as time goes by over the next 2, 3, 4 years, those numbers are going to go up. And I believe that at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay because the money we're taking in is so great, it's so enormous that you're not going to have income tax to pay. Whether you get rid of it or just keep it around for fun or have it really low, much lower than it is now.
This is what I've been waiting on. I told Steve Jarvis that this morning. I said, what I'm waiting on is no income taxes. And so this is a big deal. It's starting to be a conversation. I saw a post yesterday, I believe it was, of Lauren Brobert talking about taxation as theft. Okay, now we're talking. This is what I've been waiting on. And so, as many of you know, back on tax day, I was not very happy about the fact that we were paying taxes. I was expecting that he was going to get in office and hoping that things would happen a little bit sooner. And what's going on in North Carolina was a mess. And, you know, he'd been in office for quite a few months. And so it was like, okay, you know, we want to see this something. And so this was music to my ears. And so let's keep an eye on that. We're going to continue to keep an eye on it for you as well and be airing things here and sharing whatever we know or see when it comes to this development. Thought it was very good. Wanted you to hear the video. And then also we've got another one. It's Brooke Rawlings. Let's hear what she's having to say.
Thing which became very much a part of the national conversation during the Democrat shutdown was SNAP reform, food stamp reform. When all of America saw what so many of us know and have been working on, but when you have so much rampant fraud in a program that 42 million Americans participate in, now a big good piece of news that I hope is written about, since you became president, about 800,000 of those 42 million have moved off of food stamps, which is hopefully the plan, with better jobs, higher wages, etc. But still, when we found 186,000 dead people's Social Security numbers being used, 500,000 people receiving benefits more than twice. We had a couple of people receiving benefits in 6 states. In February of this year, we asked for all the states for the first time to turn over their data to the federal government to let the USDA partner with them to root out this fraud, to make sure that those who really need food stamps are getting them, but also to ensure that the American taxpayer is protected.
Do you hear that? This is incredible. So she says over 800,000 people have officially been removed from the SNAP program. She said that she highlights about the fraud is being off the charts. Says that 186,000 people were being paid monthly that were supposedly dead. And so, and then of course, 500,000 people receiving benefits twice or more. People receiving benefits in 6 states. There's been some of that being reported. This is not new information. This came out a couple of weeks ago that there were some that were being paid in as many as 6 different states. This is complete insanity. I personally wonder if some of this is systematic of the taking down of America. And so, we know that a lot of these people were brought here under Obama and then under Biden. And so there's a lot of stuff going on and that's what Mark Taylor and I have been talking about and showing you, about like what we were talking about yesterday, even about its colonization. These Somalia refugees are coming in. They're not trying to learn English. They're not trying to assimilate. They're trying to actually bring their way here. And so, and then they're coming in with fraud and a lot of things are coming out right now. And so I think it's very interesting. And so she says, we found that 186,000 people, 186, we're talking about monthly payments here, 186,000 people, okay? Dead people or dead people Social Security numbers being used. 500,000 people receiving benefits more than twice. It's insane numbers. And then that's not even counting some of the fraud that's coming out about what these illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, whatever you want to call them, have been doing also in, I think it's Michigan. It's come out that there's a whole racket that's been going on. We're going to cover that probably early next week. It's a widespread racket and bullying and all kinds of stuff of fraud in the healthcare system. And so complete crazy stuff. All right, let's read a couple of comments here. So KM Sunshine says we're waiting for getting rid of property taxes too. Yeah. Has Florida gotten rid of property taxes? I mean, DeSantis keeps talking about a lot of things like getting rid of chemtrails and this and that. I just hadn't seen anything happen. I mean, he talks big, but I want to see the results. Bring it. Okay, that's the biggest for us as we have to pay about $6,000 a year. Yeah, that's $500 a month. That's a lot for a family. By the way, you got to send me an update about your daughter. I want to know about her cystic acne stuff, and so how it's working for you with the Godly Granny stuff. I want to know an update on that, KM. All right, the next one is Simply Sylvia says no tax. Thank you, Lord. Now here's my concern. Okay. Now let's go back and let's talk about what he was talking about. So just complete transparency here. Where's the red flag? Did y'all catch it? Did you catch a red flag in there that's like, I'm not so sure about this. This isn't sounding so great if you really think about it. Yes, what he said is great, but they also talked about paying down the debt, the national debt. I don't want to pay any national debt down. It's all under fraud. Why isn't that going away? That's a red flag to me. Something's off. I'm just telling you, something's off there. So why do we have to pay down that debt? We shouldn't even have to pay that. And quite frankly, Steve Jarvis and I had quite the lengthy conversation about a lot of this stuff. And we'll talk about some of this on Friday, and he and I will explain, and he's going to talk about some theories. But one of the things he's talking about is, the gold back currencies that we've been talking about with Dr. Mike Fulgens here on the Michelle Moore Show for like a year. And, Texas said they were going to be going to gold back, and then Florida. And I think there's another state. Dr. Mike said which state it was. I forget. Maybe it was Minnesota. I don't remember. But anyway, so here's the deal. Steve says that's what we really need, because once it's gold back, that's in concrete. Look, if they're trying to usher in everything being digital, we want gold back. And we want gold back anyways. And so we're going to see. But Steve says some things that we'll see what happens. Now, Steve's got some great connections. He's part of some circles that are excellent, information. So we'll see what he has to say on Friday. He's going to take questions, and we'll see what you guys think about what he's sharing, and we'll kind of go from there. Skater9 says, my friend said that 102 people were laid off in October from the IRS in New York. That's great information. That's great. Yeah. That's awesome. We like that. Justice 311 says, and do the elderly or the SSD receive any help? So far, they have not, sadly. Don't even get me started. And the veterans, like, what's up? What's up? Don't even get me started. I got a notice today that Medicare is going up. Diana 5 says, yeah, see. So we'll see. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day. I get it. And we're trying to be patient. I'm just saying. So Die Laughing says, I already opted out of the IRS, eager to see what happens with the dividend. Hopefully they'll refund all the taxes ever paid since it's been extorted under duress and unlawfully. Yes. And why? And again, unlawfully, our country owes all of this money. And we all, for the most part, those that know, like Dr. Shawn said earlier. And so, why is it that we're talking about paying back debt? Maybe that's because people that are uninformed and cognitive dissonance and all of that. And maybe there's another plan in place, like what we hope and pray for. But I'm just saying, I don't like talking about paying back the debt. And so, but he also is trying to work within a lot of different things. I think it's much more, there are many things that are much more complicated than what maybe we would like to, or maybe even know or could understand. And so, that's one of the things that Steve Jarvis has helped me really understand as well when it comes to things that have to do with Kennedy and HHS and all the different things. So, and at the end of the day, where are things going? And so now we got some good news. And that's what Friday is going to be about. And like I said, I'm going to let Steve explain it. And it's for him to explain and share with you guys. But tune in Friday. Y'all are going to want to hear what he has to say. There's some good stuff coming. And then we'll see. But do y'all see what I'm saying? It's like, oh, this is great. No income taxes. All this is what we've been looking for. That's fantastic. But why are you talking about paying off debt? I don't understand that. Does that mean that the system is staying where it's at? Well, I don't want that. And so, or is it just not quite there yet? And he's talking like that, but yet there's a system being put in place. Why are there 3 states that are talking about backing their currency with gold? And so will there be more states? See, so there's a lot of stuff that I'm waiting quietly just to see how they play out. But Steve brought that up about the gold backed currency, and we got to talking about that. And I thought he made a good point. So we'll talk about it again on Friday, and we'll take your questions. So if you got some questions that are related to all of this that I've just been bringing up, make sure that you jot them down, and that way you can share them during the show, and we can address it as well. Because as usual, we try to take as many viewer questions and comments, especially with guests like Steve and Dr. Margaret, for you. Justice 311 says we need to fire Medicare too with the IRS. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, shoot, now it's coming out, about the healthcare stuff, just one big fat fraud. And just like today, talking with Dr. Shawn, I mean, I'd buy that Jase case 5 times over if I had to, just to not go to the emergency room and not be thrown up for the next 2 or 3 hours. So I literally went from throwing up to getting right into the tub, a warm tub. And I would not be caught without at least 3 pain blend bath bombs. I'm probably going to sell out in the next 10 minutes, but I'm just telling you, I have had a couple of times now where I had pain blend bath bombs and praised God for them. They work. Godly Granny, pain blend bath bombs. They absolutely work. And then also my second favorite bath bomb is the allergy, cold, and sinus. Absolutely works. If you've got really, really bad allergies, you're having a really bad, kind of bout with it, get you an allergy, cold, and sinus bath bomb, get in the bathtub. I'd take it as warm as I can get it. And I'm telling you, a good 15 minutes to 20 minutes is what the directions say. They work. They work. And so take it from me. I promise you, they work. And I love them. Okay. So, and I never really thought about that until just now. The 2 gentlemen that I was talking about earlier, that might be really good for them to have on hand. They really suffer. Can you imagine suffering with breathing? That's, I think, one of the worst things personally. So like asthma and all that, like where you just feel like you can't breathe. Don't like that. I can't breathe through my nose really well. So I've had a couple of times where somebody put their hand over my mouth and I about went ballistic because you feel like you can't breathe. And so very interesting. It makes my heart break when I hear about people that are really struggling after the chemtrails. All right. Well, I think that today's show was great. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely enjoy having these doctors on. And I get so many emails from y'all. And don't forget, if you need ivermectin instructions, to email me, Michelle@NashvilleMichelle.com. Don't forget, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. I'd much rather be here than at the dentist. And it's so crazy. The conversations at a health-based dentist are so much better than when you're at the cabal dentist. I got to tell you, it's entertaining because they know what's going on. And all the staff, it's so incredible. And so the conversations are amazing. So I won't be here tomorrow because I'm having surgery. And then I've got another surgery. They think that I do have, because I had a cone beam scan, and I have to go to a specialist to get you remember how with Dr. Michelle, we learned about the cone beam scans. And so if you haven't seen those interviews, you need to go back, find those with Dr. Michelle. And so, but she talked about the cone beam scans. Well, I went to the health-based dentist to get one, and that's what started all of this. And so, and then I got the metal out of my mouth that it turned out I needed to have out, of course. And so we got that done. That was phase 1. Now tomorrow starts phase 2. But then I also need to go to a specialist that will get the infection out from the root canal that I have. Because remember, that's what the cone beam scan does, is let you know. And I think about 99.9% of people who have had root canals usually have infection that can cause, depending on the meridian points. If you haven't watched the documentary Root Cause, like, don't go to bed tonight without watching it. You got to see it. You can just you can even just search online, Michelle Moore, Root Cause. It'll come up. We've aired it about 5 times because it's one of my top 10 must-see documentaries. Oh, that reminds me. I'm having Giftaganza. Didn't know if you knew about it, but I told you when you guys do, when you do business with Godly Granny, that enables us to be able to help. Like, we helped for a whole year. We paid and helped with, the stuff that, donations, where your donations for Hurricane Helene, 100% went to Hurricane Helene survivors. Well, we did the truck and whatever needed to be done. And so, and paid for our own expenses. And that's, by doing business with Godly Granny, that helps. Well, you guys have really just done such a phenomenal job with getting behind doing your shopping during Granny-aganza that I decided to do Giftaganza. I don't really know exactly what it's going to look like. I don't know the date yet. I think it's going to be next week, though. And so Tuesday, we got Dr. Margaret. This Friday, we've got Steve Jarvis. So I don't know. It might be Monday. It might be Thursday of next week. It might be Friday. I haven't decided yet, but be on the lookout, because Giftaganza, so it'll be like my favorite things. And I don't know, you might be giving away some of my favorite things. If you know me, you know how that goes. And so, yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. You know how it goes. And so I think it's a good time of the year to do Giftaganza. What do y'all think? And then Michelle-aganza is January 31st for my birthday. And so that's the next Aganza. But mark your calendars for sometime next week. Be on the lookout. We're going to be doing Giftaganza, giving away some of my favorite things that I found this year that I just love. Producer Ron, I said, look at me. I'm wearing a camo shirt. And he said, are you going deer hunting after today's show? The abuse I take. I said, absolutely. And maybe in my backyard, I'll just, shoot out the kitchen window like Steve Jarvis. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed today's show, and I will see you Friday with Steve Jarvis. I think that'll be an awesome show. He brought up something today that he's working on for you guys, and I had never thought about it. It was amazing. And so that's a whole nother thing. We got a lot of things planned for Friday. So we'll see you right here next time on the Michelle Moore Show.
There aren't a lot of reasons to use Godly Granny products. There's every reason, because every time you twist or flip a cap on something from Godly Granny, you're voting no to chemicals and yes to common sense, but without all the electronic voting machines. With Godly Granny, there's no toxins, no chemicals, no endocrine disruptors, no cancer-chasing filler. Godly Granny is a small batch, made-to-order, deeply naturopathic wellness brand. Founded on biblical truth, formulated with pure purpose, and handcrafted by saved folks who know that freedom doesn't come from fake lavender and phthalates. Go to godlygranny.com today. Be sure and use the discount code Michelle21 at checkout to receive 21% off your entire order.
Hi, I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies combined into 150 playlists for ease of use. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body, through your skin and your bones. You don't necessarily have to hear it. As each frequency goes through, it can be realigning, revitalizing, reconnecting, and even rebalancing your body all the way to the cellular level. So that's why we have so many testimonies for aches, ADD and ADHD, allergies, colds and flu, dental, emotions, headaches, joints, kidney stones, nerves, organs, skin health, swelling, tremors, vagus nerve, and so many more. Use this code for $100 off when you purchase the Wave Watch. Thanks for learning about frequencies, using them, and supporting the Wave Watch.
Hi friends, it's Michelle Moore. And when it comes to protecting your retirement, I believe in taking smart, steady steps. Bank of America analysts call gold the ultimate safe haven, and when it comes to precious metals, I trust Universal Coin and Bullion, the official rare coin and bullion dealer of my show. They have been named the best in their industry both nationally and regionally by leading organizations. Consider a gold IRA, a time-tested way to diversify your portfolio with real tangible assets, which lets you move a portion of your retirement savings into physical gold, helping protect your wealth from inflation, market swings, and economic uncertainty. And Universal Coin and Bullion makes the process easy. From rollovers to delivery, they walk you through every step, even if you have one with another gold company. Protect what you've worked so hard to build from the team that I trust, Universal Coin and Bullion, at 800-321-8700, and make sure to tell them Michelle sent you.
For Michelle's social media links, go to michellemooreshow.com.